Something I personally strive for in these videos that I make for you all and just in life in general is to try and be as genuine as I can. Now that comes with a few caveats when it comes to YouTube videos, because with YouTube, obviously, unless I'm just live streaming my life 24/7, you're seeing a curated version of me. Even though I'm not lying on camera or anything like that. I'm not sugarcoating things. I'm not being reactionary about stuff. It's still an edited version. I cut out the things with me tripping over my words, me having to start over because I trailed off and went off on a weird tangent, me cutting out several minutes of completely weird tangents. It's all kind of curated, but it's still what I would consider genuine. And this is not to say that other channels aren't genuine. I'm just trying to explain all of that because usually when I make these videos, I try and put in at least a little bit of effort into my appearance before I get on camera. And that's not to say I do like a ton of extra special things. I'm not putting on any kind of makeup or anything like that. Maybe it would help, I don't know. But this is all kind of a big circuitous explanation as to why I look terrible right now, because shit's tough. From just the toy collecting perspective, it's just a nightmare right now with the exponentially increasing costs, more and more people getting shut out of certain parts of not just the fandom per se, but just collecting in general. Like, they're just official and unofficial sources. It's getting to a point where, what option does anyone have if they want to continue enjoying this stuff? Because even the stuff that's more affordable, you still have to pay a ridiculous amount of money most of the time to get it. Or if you don't have to pay a ridiculous amount of money in shipping, the cost of the thing goes up to compensate for all of that. So it's just a big mess. I know this has been affecting other people much sooner than I've started feeling the sting from it. And this isn't about me. It's just everything sucks right now for everybody. And I don't like it. Once upon a time, I would have seen Metal Card Bot Tyrant Zero and been like, I'm going to get that. I might sell a figure or two, but I'm going to get that. Now, I don't really have that option. I am getting it, but the only reason I'm able to get it is because of a combination of really good timing on selling something on eBay that sold for a couple $100 and getting a bonus from my boss, more or less, for doing an extremely good job and working extremely hard in a bunch of stuff that doesn't apply to this channel. And if it weren't for those two factors coming together, I wouldn't be able to get this figure that I really want and have been keeping an eye on for a long time. And it bums me out that that's kind of the norm for everyone. I get it, it's a hobby. Toys, video games, which are also toys in their own right, but also both actual physical toys and video games are art in their own right. And I'm not trying to dispute that. I'm not trying to say that toys don't matter. I'm not trying to say video games don't matter. I'm just saying that in the grand scheme of things, they're not life-sustaining in the same way that food and shelter can be. So they're more, hobby. They're like a cherry on top. They're a little treat, that kind of thing. And it is really rough when the things that we rely on for being able to relax start to price us out. And again, this isn't something that's just started. It's been going on. It's just getting worse and worse. Between being extremely busy and being bummed out about 95% of the things happening in the world right now, both pertaining to toys and pertaining to everything else, it's incredibly hard to maintain the enthusiasm for basic stuff. I'm probably going to go off the rails even more than I already have in this video, but I don't know. I just feel like talking about this stuff. And the reason I'm doing it in video form is because I feel like a lot of us are going through something similar. And I just think it's usually good to have that knowledge that you're not alone. It doesn't make the problem go away, but sometimes it helps knowing that there are other people struggling with the same stuff you are. It's not you. It's not anything you're doing wrong. It's everything else that sucks. I'm sure at least some of the people watching this video are going through it right now in terms of toy stuff, in terms of life stuff. And I just kind of want to share the sentiment that gets shared a few times a month, a year, whatever. And that is that the people you see online, like me, more popular influencers and stuff like that, they're not the ideal. They're not people who've got their shit together. They're not the ones who have it all figured out. They're in the exact same situation you are. They're just showing you a highly curated form of themselves and not sharing the rough stuff, because most of the time nobody wants to see the rough stuff, and a lot of people don't want to share the rough stuff because it's personal, it's embarrassing, whatever. I generally don't want to share the rough stuff either. But I don't know, I've been so down lately that I kind of felt the need to do that just so I could express both how I've been feeling and to let anyone else who might be feeling the same that they're not alone. I am right there with you, and it sucks. And there's never any kind of answer to this stuff other than systemic change, which, that's probably not going to happen for a while, but it's not hopeless. It's just requires way more patience than I'm capable of in this moment. But it tends to come in waves, For me personally, I don't suffer from depression in like a clinical sense. I'm not on medication, not because I don't agree with it, but because I'm not, it's not like a thing. I don't need to take medication for it because it's not an ongoing condition that I have. It's more that I do deal with it from time to time because of the fact that everything is awful, and being horrifically stressed and anxious about so many facets of life all the time is exhausting and just kind of removes your ability to feel emotion for a little while every now and then. I would highly recommend therapy if possible, because when I was able to have therapy appointments that were part of an affordable thing, it really helps. Like, it doesn't fix things, but it helps. It's just that mental health resources, in addition to any medical resources in this country, and in other countries too, but I'm primarily speaking from the perspective of a US citizen because that's what I am. It's terrible. Insurance makes it practically impossible. And all I can say is if you're able to, and if you have the means, if you have the right connections, if you know a place that has affordable and worthwhile therapy care type stuff, point is it does help. And it kind of circles back around to the hobby of collecting. I don't think someone would amass hundreds of transforming robot toys, spend thousands of dollars over the course of several years on transforming robot toys if they weren't maybe just a little depressed. Speaking for myself here, it really sucks to have something like that means a lot to you for the sake of both personal interest and also it being a kind of, it's like a bright spot, I imagine a lot of you feel this too, whether it's with the toy acquisitions or just treating yourself to a nice drink when you're going out running errands or something like that. It's a bright spot, and when things are rough, sometimes you really need a little pick-me-up. And sometimes that little pick-me-up is a robot T-Rex that turns into a humanoid guy. And getting to a point where those little pick-me-ups become harder and harder to experience, it just really sucks. And those little disappointments stack up, being bummed out about not being able to get the stuff I want because I can't afford it, or justify the expense even if I have the money because money's really tight. That starts to wear on you or on me. Feeling like if I want to get this thing, I have to sell more stuff, or if I want to be able to continue to pay rent 2 months from now, I have to sell more stuff. And sitting down and looking at everything and having a really hard time deciding what, if anything, I'm willing to part with, that also grinds you down. I have a fair bit of stuff listed on eBay currently, and a lot of it has not sold for a while. This is not a call to action. I'm not asking you all to buy stuff from me from eBay to help out or anything like that. It's just me vocalizing frustrations that I've been dealing with for a while. It's just, I've got stuff that's listed on eBay. I've got more stuff that I want to list on eBay. Sometimes I'll grab something off the shelf, put it off to the side with the idea of deciding, a day or two later whether or not I really want to sell it, or, to put it aside to take pictures or whatever. And sometimes during that process, I'll start to second guess myself on selling off a figure. And sometimes after second guessing myself, I'll just go through with it. Sometimes I won't, and I'll take the figure, put it back on the shelf, and I'll keep it. And sometimes it's really hard to not feel like a failure in that moment. And I know that's weird to say, probably, but it feels like I'm letting myself down. It feels like I'm letting Diana down. It feels like I'm letting the cats down, because that thing that I'm taking back and putting it back on the shelf is something that I could potentially sell and make a little bit of money to take some of the financial edge off of things. So it feels like I'm failing in that regard. But at the same time, it's those little bright spots. It's hard to willingly part with some of those bright spots when you know that you're kind of running out of your pool and things just continue to get bad or not get better. There are times where I'll have something that's been listed on eBay for a while, and there's like maybe a couple of days, maybe months, and I'll just decide I made a mistake and decide that I don't want to sell the thing, and I will unlist it from eBay, take it out of my closet, unbox it, because I have to package everything up in advance to get the proper dimensions and weight for eBay listings. But I'll take that out, and it's like, on the one hand, it almost feels like getting a new toy, even though it's not a new toy, but it is something that's been away from the shelf, from the rest of the collection for a while. So it kind of, in a way, feels similar to getting a new figure and opening it up and being able to mess around with it and whatnot. But at the same time, it again feels like a failure, because that's something that was listed and might have sold, and I just took it down. I recently sold my Ocular Max Ignis, the hotspot, and I love that figure. It is my hotspot, my definitive hotspot personally, and it's a fantastic figure. I didn't want to list it, but at the same time, I was just going through the collection, trying to figure out if there was anything else I could sell, because, gotta keep some form of extremely mild income coming. And so I listed it, wasn't entirely sure I wanted to keep it listed, and then someone bought it, and I had to ship it out, and I regret it. I regretted it as soon as it sold. I regretted dropping it off at the post office, and, it was nice getting the money for it. It was good money. It was a not insignificant chunk of change that sold for, but, I still miss it, and part of me regrets that I sold it. Part of me is happy to have gotten the money, and a big part of me regrets feeling like I had to get rid of it. But that's just kind of the situation that a lot of people are in right now. I know I'm not the only one. I wish I could say I have some kind of advice or worldly wisdom to depart on anyone else who might be feeling the same, but I don't. I'm just a regular-ass 44-year-old white guy who's going through it like a lot of people are these days. I don't have my act together. I don't have answers. I don't have life hacks or any major suggestions. The only things that I would say is just try and keep in mind that if you're going through something similar, you're not alone. And if you know people you're comfortable with, people you trust, talk to them. You're probably not going to find solutions to anything that you're dealing with, whether it's related to toy collecting or just the world at large, but talking helps, even if it doesn't lead to anything. I can say that definitively, because even now that I don't have therapy sessions anymore, I still speak openly with Diana. We talk about stuff, and when I talk to my parents on the phone, talk to them sometimes about stuff, and it's not about finding an answer. It's about just venting, sharing some of these feelings, being open and vulnerable with people that you trust, and sometimes just voicing these things makes them, I don't want to say easier, but it lessens the sting a little bit. So I guess that would be my advice, is just if you are in a position where you are safe and with people you trust, then talk to them about stuff that's on your mind, stuff that, might be getting you down, because it's not good to bottle that up. I just need to stick it out. We all just need to stick it out. I say just like it's easy, but that's kind of the only play right now for a lot of us. Again, just try and keep in mind you're not alone. Again, if you have any friends, family, community that you truly trust and feel safe with, then that's a good place to start. Anyway, that's kind of all I got. I went into this as well prepared for the video as I am bathed and shaved. I am a gross mess, and so is this video. I'm hoping that the next time I sit in front of the camera, it's going to be for something a little bit more positive, or at least not as depressing. We'll see, right? In the meantime, if you feel inclined, if you're comfortable, then by all means, share your thoughts and feelings about this stuff in the comments, but only if you're comfortable. You are not obligated to. And if you're responding to people who are posting about this stuff in the comments, just try and be kind to each other. That's all I ask. Because it's just really rough for everybody right now, it was always the case, but it kind of feels like it's become more important, even more important lately, that we got to look out for each other, making sure that we're doing okay, or as okay as can be in these situations, Yeah, anyway, I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching. Yeah.